Can you hear me okay?
And good morning. Hey, it's Ken Walls. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm excited to have my buddy, good friend, Brett Coffey on today. He is on the West Coast, so it's still pretty early out there, but I want to go ahead and bring Brett onto the show. Brett, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, dude. Thank you for getting up early and joining us here today, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been checking out some of your shows, and man, you've had some just major rock stars on and stuff. Very cool.
I'm telling you, man, I feel unbelievably blessed. We have some amazing people coming on. Jordan Thomas, we got Greg Crane, Greg Walker. Greg Crane is up in Canada. He was actually here at my house a couple weeks ago. He stopped by, was in the area, so. But dude, listen, man, I am very, very excited to have you on. You have done you've done some amazing things in life. And I know you've also been through, the trials and tribulations of life. And I think you and we've been friends for what, about 4 years, maybe? Somewhere.
Yeah,
there?
4 or 5. I mean, it sort of ties around, connecting, through Grant Cardone.
Yep, it sure does, man. It does. So I'm I know we met. I think we met on one of Grant's live streams or something, right? And
yeah, there was. I guess it was about 4 or 5 years ago when social media really exploded.
Yeah.
There were all these different platforms, and at the time it was Blab. Was the big thing, where you could have 4 people on and Grant would hop on and people would connect. And I know at one point Grant was doing something with, some contest or something. And maybe it was one of his live streams. And I think it came down to you and I who were going to get a free ride on the jet. And you won it.
Well, that was, what was it? That was one of his webinars. I gave away 14 seats on his webinar that I paid for. And
that's right.
And I won a ride on his jet. But I never took him up on it. I actually flew to Miami and spent a few hours with him. So that was even better in my opinion. But, so dude, this show is really about, helping people have a break through the walls in their lives and their businesses, by hearing other people's stories of trials and tribulations and having breakthroughs. And I know that you, my friend, have been through a lot of crap in life, and you've come out on the other side, and so I think it's important to be able to share that stuff. So, let's start with where you were born and raised. You kind of have a Texas accent.
Well, I was born in Toronto, so I was born on the East Coast, where this show would be going on at 11 and not 8 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
And my dad was a musician and worked in the music industry for a company up here. In the States, it would be similar to Guitar Center, same kind of company.
Okay.
They rent and sold instruments and whatnot. And we went back and forth a couple of times from the East Coast to the West Coast. And he was the third employee of this company. And he was actually asked to come out west and launch the second branch.
Oh, wow.
And that initially brought us to Vancouver in 1970. We hung out here for 5 years. They needed a manager to run the show back in Toronto, so we went back.
Wow.
And then ultimately we came back. The last time, I think it was 1979, and I've been in Vancouver ever since.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Yeah, back and forth a lot of times.
So you were pretty young then, like 1970. We're about the same age, aren't we?
Well, I'm 55.
Are you 55?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm still 49.
Oh, there you go. I guess I'm just aging well. I don't know.
I guess so, man. I thought we were well, I mean, that's still pretty close. But so you were still pretty young.
Yeah, the first time we moved out, I was 7, then we moved back at 12, then I moved back out here at 16 and or 15, I guess. And, even that is a story in itself, to move back and forth as a kid that many times, because you're giving up, friendships on both sides. And, there wasn't social media the way it was now. And to phone a friend from Vancouver back to Toronto.
Yeah.
Was about $4 a minute on the old dial-up landlines back then, right? So, you were restricted in what you could do in a call. But hey, ultimately coming back out to Vancouver the last time and going to high school and by nature I'm shy, introverted. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't believe that, but if you talk to Meg, she would definitely tell you that. And I was really hurt and upset the last time that we moved out, when I was, a teenager moving away from all my buddies.
Yeah.
To be out here. And I literally didn't leave my house for the whole summer. We moved out in summer. I was just like, I didn't leave. And then that's when
Vancouver.
Yeah, when I was in Vancouver.
Wow.
And I ended up deciding that I wanted to play hockey. And that became a real passion for me. And I just dove in. Wasn't old enough to drive yet, but I would actually, and I was a goalie, so I had all this gear. I would take 3 buses to get to an arena. It would take me 2 hours to get there, and I'd play hockey for 8 hours a day and come back. And that led to some great friendships, some great coaches in my life, and ultimately, I came really close to playing pro.
Wow.
I was on the Montreal Canadiens scouting list. In my draft year, I actually blew out my knee and ultimately would need knee surgery. So that sort of messed up that career path for me. And the summer after that, I think I was 17, I ended up to go and work with my dad at the music shop. I was in the back doing shipping, unboxing guitars and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because my son just got his first job for washing dishes at a restaurant. He just did that. He just did that yesterday. He's 16 and just got his learners.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast time goes when you have kids. It's unbelievable.
It is. I agree.
So, as a kid, I had a pretty normal life. My mom was home and, my dad worked a lot.
Yeah.
And, the company I that my dad worked for started out with 2 stores, got a 3rd store. Now I think they have like 55 stores across all of Canada. They're about a $500 million company.
Wow.
And, in between, actually working for him a little bit in the summers, after graduating high school, I went and learned how to cut hair.
What?
And, yeah.
You went to barber school?
Yeah, I did that because
nice.
I always just believed that if you had a trade that you could use all the time, I mean, the one given is that your hair is always going to grow. People are always going to need haircuts.
That's true. Well,
so
I don't know anymore. It's
yeah, I mean, there's some guys that don't need haircuts, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So I went to school for that, and I worked for about 3 years in the cut and hair industry, and that was in the 80s when my hair was longer than most gals' hair.
Right.
It flipped, and I had more colors in my hair than you could possibly imagine. You were doing something to your hair every single week.
Yeah.
And being a rock star, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah. But
at the end of the day, it wasn't gonna go anywhere. I mean, I guess I could have owned my own shop or whatever, but
right.
Then I got a call from my dad saying that the bookkeeper had quit from that location that he was running. And I'd always been good with numbers and, took accounting in school and loved all that kind of stuff. And then, so I started to work for him.
Well, wait a minute. Now, how old were you at this point?
Well, I graduated early out of high school.
Okay.
So I would have been 17.
Did you go to college or university or whatever they call it in Canada? I know it's a little bit different.
No, you can do either college or university.
I know, but here it's just college at a university. But
we have colleges and we have universities. Universities, I don't know if it's the next level, but so I went to they call it a vocational institute.
Yeah.
So where you went in and learned trades. And I went in and took the barbering class and, did all that and went and worked in the field for 3 years. And, a lot of people won't relate to this based on our ages, but there was no such thing as Sunday shopping. Didn't exist.
Right.
And the shop that I was working at, that's when it first came into play. And there was a big, we don't want this.
Yeah.
So I'd go in on a Sunday and sit there. Nothing. Because people just weren't used to it yet. And I went, well, that's not working for me.
No.
And then my dad called me and said, hey, we need a bookkeeper. Do you want to come down and, check it out? So I did that. And, bookkeeping in those days was all manual. Everything was paperwork. There wasn't anything to do with computers or anything like that.
General ledger and all that.
Yeah, the green documents with all the multiple columns.
I had them.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did that for years.
Wow.
And the store actually got its first Atari computer.
Oh my God.
And they had a program, not Excel, but something very similar.
Yeah.
So I started to mess around with that and because we did accounts receivables where you could come in, that guitar behind you could come in and make payments on it.
Yep.
So I'd create a little sort of Excel file with Ken Wall's name on it and your payments that you came in and made. And so that was sort of the beginning of my connection with computers and whatnot. And, fast forward, that company grew like crazy. There were multiple locations. They started to go the route of computers. And the computers that we had back in those days were probably almost as tall as that bookcase behind you. Just these big, massive things with these huge platters that you put in for discs.
Yeah.
And I was responsible to go and set them up in Edmonton, Calgary, Victoria. So I started to travel around a lot.
Wow.
Became the point of sales special, I call it. Train guys on this new software. So, and it was super old school.
Wow.
If I could show you pictures, you'd laugh because you would totally get it.
Yeah, I would get it. Wow.
So, that was sort of the real beginning of my career with this company. And I ended up being there for, 27 years.
Now, and I don't remember the details, but isn't there some stories about you knowing or being friends with or hanging out with or touring with or something like some famous rock bands?
Yeah, because Vancouver was on the map in the 80s for artists to come into town and record albums. Whitesnake, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, all these bands would come into town and they'd record and they'd be in the city for months. And you could go to the local rock club and they'd be hanging out. And because of that, we would do these deals where ultimately we'd sponsor them in some, they'd be using an Ovation guitar and we'd bring them to the studio for them to use and try and all that kind of stuff. So it gave me the ability to party with Bon Jovi and, you know, meet John and sit at a table and, with Richie Sambora in a club and throw back shots way back in the day and, hang out with Vince Neil and just meet all these different great guys. And that was a real different time. I mean, it was party central back in those days.
Yeah, right.
And, I guess to step back, in my last year of high school was when I first met Megan.
Wow.
And, we were in an art class, and her brother's name is Brett. So she reckoned, wasn't a popular name back then. So she sort of went, oh, there's another Brett in this class. And I saw this green-eyed beauty in this tight purple shirt, and I was done. It was over. Took me about 18 months to close the deal, but, you know, here we are 33 years later and 2 kids and, you know, best of friends and, just the love of my life.
Wow, dude, that's freaking awesome. 33 years?
Yeah, just this past June 15th.
Wow. That's Abigail's, our little girl's birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 33 years. Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
That's incredible, man. That's awesome. Well, congratulations for that, man. Jeez.
Yeah, thank you. Apparently every year we last, we're setting records compared to most of the people that we know.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. So you worked at the music store business for 27 years, you said.
Yeah.
What happened after that? I mean, 27 years in one place. Did you retire?
Not really. You know, for the most part, it was great.
Yeah.
Things really changed in about the last 5 years. It became very, very corporate. And, you know, I'm that story of, hey, I was working in shipping, then I was doing bookkeeping, then I was doing the point of sale system to the point where I was running my own location.
Yeah.
And, you know, had a staff of 20, 25 people at the time and, you know, doing millions of dollars in rentals and sales and, you know, listening as an employee, listening, you know, or as a boss, listening to all the excuses of why people can't show up. And it was very interesting in the music industry because a lot of the guys they'd work during the day and they'd go out and gig at night.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, sometimes they needed to travel and it was just, you know, it was crazy staffing sometimes. Let's put it that way.
Wow. I'll bet.
And, you know, my dad had managed locations and ultimately became a regional manager because the company had grown so big and so fast.
Yeah.
And it was challenging because it was changing a lot. In our location, you know, for me, it was all about having fun.
Right.
You know, if the employees are happy, then it makes the gig way easier.
Right.
You know, so we'd have poker nights. We'd pull out hockey nets that I bought and we'd go to the back of the parking lot after work and play ball hockey and, you know, have a bunch of fun doing that. And I'd let the guys stay and set up and they could, you know, play and gig after hours and whatnot. And that all switched.
Oh, it did?
It just changed overnight.
It became corporate-y?
Very corporate-y. Like, you know, this box has to be placed at this height and, you know, all those things. Yeah. You know, and I get it. I mean, that, you know, they're there to make money.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and, you know, one tip that I could give to everybody is that if you work for somebody else, you're nothing but an asset. And they're going to use you up, and at some point they'll spit you out because they can, you know, they could probably replace you.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where I was really frustrated, and Megan knew it. I'd come home and complain, and it was toxic.
Yeah.
And something really disconcerting for me had happened as it related to my dad and working there. He'd been there for, gosh, if I was there 27 years, he was there 40.
Wow.
And one day they changed his position. I didn't know it was coming. I woke up one day, had a new regional manager, And for lack of a better term, they had turned my dad into a Walmart greeter.
Oh, man.
So they had taken his position away.
Yeah.
And it was, he was okay with it because it was allowing him to downgrade, but the way that they did it didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
And it would have been, it would have been nice to tell me rather than announce it in front of 40 other managers.
Yeah, right. Right.
And that for me was the beginning of the end.
Wow.
So, I put up with it for about 4 more years. And then ultimately what ended up happening was my dad got cancer.
Oh.
And phoned me one day at work, told me, "Hey, bud, here's what's going on." And the one plus with the company was the owner, older than my dad, still alive today. I think he's like 85, 86 years old. Told my dad he could work, he'd get his salary, he could work as long as he wanted, as many days as he wanted, and that was never going to change.
Wow.
So that part of it was pretty cool. But that was the old school company.
Yeah.
And we found out, gosh, I guess it would have been in 2012 that he had about 6 months to live.
Wow.
And I was already crushed. It's one thing to lose a parent. It's another thing to lose a parent that you work with every day for 27 years.
Yeah, right.
And I knew that day was coming. And I ended up in the hospital about 4 times with panic attacks. I thought I was having a heart attack.
Wow.
And I'll probably get super emotional about this, but I just decided one day I'm going to walk. There's more to life than working for a company.
Yeah.
When he only had 6 months to live.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I didn't have an exit strategy. No, there was nothing. Yeah. I didn't have any other income coming in. There was nothing going on. But I just walked in one day and said, "I'm done. I'm going to go hang out with my dad. You guys can like it or not." And they went, "Well, why don't you take a little bit of time here and there?" And went, "No." It would just have been too much of a conflict.
Yeah, right.
So I walked away, I think it was in June, and, hung out with him as much as I could. He lived close to me and whatnot. And, December 25th is his birthday.
Wow.
So that December 25th, in 2012, we've been going to see him every day because we knew any day he was going to pass. And between my sisters and I, we were going back and forth. And December 25th, we phoned him, sung happy birthday to him.
Yeah.
And we knew that my sister was going in to see him that day. And it was the weirdest thing, Ken. I still can't figure it out in my head, but we sing happy birthday to him, tell him, "Hey, we're coming to see you tomorrow, the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing he said to me was, "Well, I guess that's it." And then that night he passed away. Early morning of the 26th, he passed away.
Oh my dear God.
So he sort of, it's like he knew. And I still have, I was an athlete, great shape, all that kind of stuff. After he passed, gained a bunch of weight, had never had panic attacks or anxiety in my life. Yeah. There are still things today that something will trigger me as it relates to him. Now I understand what it is. Yeah. I know what's going on, so I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But it was so surreal. And
wow.
I mean, Megan was amazing through that whole time period for me. And we won the lottery that you never want to win, which was an inheritance. And, for about 12, 15 months, I literally did nothing. I was crushed. I still ended up going to the hospital, and they put me on the treadmill and they hooked me up to all this stuff. And it truly was just, stress and anxiety.
Wow.
And it was tough. It's still tough. I remember, my son and I, Brant, we'd go almost every weekend and spend time with him, and we'd watch Canadian football.
Right.
And
is that a real thing?
It kind of.
I'm just kidding.
There's some guy that just came up that couldn't make it in the NFL, Manziel or something, that came up to throw some balls up here. He hasn't even made it onto the field yet, but that's okay.
Oh, that's funny. Manziel. Oh, my God.
It was really...
Jack Branch is on here, by the way. He keeps saying hi. Hey, Jack. He said,
hey,
glad to know you both. He's a good dude. But
it was interesting because I think my dad actually hung on because we both liked the team called the Toronto Argonauts, and so did my son. So we'd go over, we'd watch football with him on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I just kept telling him that this is the year for the Argos, this is the year for the Argos, and this is when he had cancer.
Yeah.
And I really think he lasted long enough because they went to the Grey Cup, your Super Bowl. Okay. They won the championship in November.
Wow.
And I remember leaving the house that day with my son in the back and me trying to fight back the tears because I knew that was the last time that we get to watch football. So, I had all these things on. And, it was tough, really tough.
Wow,
man. It makes me emotional even now talking about it.
Well, sure, dude. Of course it does. Wow. It's making me emotional. Stop. Wow.
If there's a silver lining in all this, it actually, in a really twisted way, led me to Grant Cardone, which led me to meet you.
Yeah.
I was in a funk, and I needed to do something. I needed to start making some money. I needed to drastically change my life.
Yeah.
The nest egg that we got from my dad wasn't, massive. And it was, when you're not working and you have a family of 4, it goes like that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, I was on, I don't know, I think I was watching a Gary Vaynerchuk thing on YouTube, and on the side, you've got all the other suggestions. And there was this, I would say, almost obnoxious, loud dude in jeans on a stage, and it was a 45-minute talk that Grant did, and I clicked on it, and I went, man, that guy rocks. What an attitude. And so I started to, check out some of his stuff on YouTube and watch what he was doing, and that's how you and I got connected. We ultimately ended up on some live together, and I just started to follow him and showed up in his life a lot, and developed a friendship, to the point where, he knows me and we connect all the time. And it, for me, it really filled a gap at the time. It was somebody to go to and somebody to be able to watch and listen to. And, then he did like a 3-minute interview and a company that I was with, I was in the network marketing space. I sent him a bunch of product.
Yeah.
And he gave me a huge shout out, and that blew all that up. And, in some small way, I like to think that I put him on the map with a bunch of network marketers because we were all gravitating at that time to all these platforms in social media.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And that's what I do now is network marketing.
Right.
I started way back in 1995 with a company that everybody knows, Amway.
Yeah.
There was only 2 choices, I think, back then. It was either Amway or Mary Kay, and I didn't see myself doing Mary Kay.
You can't, dude. You'd look awesome in a pink Cadillac. Come on.
In the 80s, yeah, I would.
Bumping some Aretha Franklin and.
Absolutely, let's go. But Megan and I got our start in network marketing back in 1995 because of her aunt and uncle, and they were buying product. So we started to buy product, and the gal that actually worked for me at the music store was involved in the company, and they came over and showed us the business plan. And I was like, it impacted me. It's like, man, this is cool. I can help people. They can make money. I can make money. And I've always termed network marketing as private franchising. You franchise yourself through people. the only way I win is if you win first.
Yeah.
So for every dime that I help you create, or every dollar I help you create, if I make a dime, how many dollars do I want to talk you into?
Right.
So that was awesome, except my personality, my shyness,
yeah.
and the fact that social media didn't exist. I mean, you had to go out and headhunt and spear people.
Yeah.
You'd pick up a landline to book a coffee meeting with somebody 45 minutes away, and you'd have to pull over halfway through the drive, go to a payphone to make sure that they were going to still show up so you weren't wasting your time.
Right.
That was a completely different way to build business, especially network marketing.
Dude, it was so, I mean, I was talking to somebody, I don't know if you ever had to do this, but back when I was doing sales, business to business sales in my early 20s, so that was a long ass time ago, 30 years ago. And, we would have to get a Haynes directory and a crisscross directory and find, different businesses and find out who's on that street and who the owner is or the manager. And it was, right. I mean, and you had to map out your entire day that way every single day, or you just were like a wandering generality and just wondering about the planet. So it was a lot different without social media.
Yeah, absolutely. We back in those days, you'd give this package of sample products and a couple of cassettes.
Yeah.
And when you gave it away, you never knew whether it was ever coming back again.
Right.
It wasn't like you could track the person down on Facebook and go, "Hey, can I get that stuff I handed over to you back?"
Yeah. No.
So it was interesting, but I really cut my teeth, through the Amway business, and because of my background in the music industry, I knew a little bit about recording. So I got connected to a gentleman that was making 8 figures back in the 90s. And
in Amway?
Yeah.
8 figures.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big money, been in the industry for a long time.
Wow.
And back then they were, and I still have some of the original cassettes. You get your weekly cassette to listen to, and kind of like YouTube now or iTunes or whatever, right? And I put this whole organization on, why don't we use CDs rather than cassettes?
Right.
So this gentleman would fly me all over the United States, and I'd record all these meetings. And it was a whole other level of learning.
Wow.
So I sort of got the back door learning. I was in meetings that I hadn't earned the right to be there, but I was there to record them. So it gave me a really great education in network marketing and what it was about. And,
sure.
That was at a time when there were very few companies. Wow. Now there's a company a week that pops up, and companies go away and people change and move and, all that kind of stuff. So I was actually with the Amway Corporation for about 17 years.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We still use the product today. Love some of the products.
Yeah, I do too. And it's what's funny is I never joined Amway, but I've used the heck out of some of their products, but I never joined it ever. I can't believe it. Now my first sales job was 17. And I was working for an Amway distributor they had a water purification system. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I was selling this water purification system. He had a retail location. And so he would they'd set up appointments for people to come in for the presentation. I don't even remember how long I did it. I think it was only a couple of months, but that's where I got my first kind of sales experience, was selling Amway water purification systems.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I never became a distributor. I never signed up for it and became a distributor.
Yeah, well, we're customers of 3 or 4 different network marketing companies, because I'd rather support the individual than big corporate.
Yeah.
That's just to me that drives the economy more than dumping money into the Walmarts of the world.
I agree. So with your story thus far, I'm going to ask it, but I almost don't have to. It's pretty obvious that the greatest childhood influence on you.
Well, it would have been my dad.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, no question.
But your dad wasn't a barber. What made you do that? Trying to be different?
Well, oddly enough, of all the people that worked for the music company, I couldn't play a note if my life depended on it. But I was always really, really good with numbers.
Yeah.
And I've been told, you have a left side and a right side brain, and one is typically artistic and one is math.
Right.
Somehow I have both.
Yeah.
Like I can draw and paint and do all that kind of stuff, but I'm really good at, my skill set in the music company was I knew how to make them profitable and make the money.
Wow.
We made money all,
Yeah.
Knew what to do and how to do it, and knew how to hire the right people to fill the gaps for all the stuff that I didn't know.
Wow.
So, but the artistic side of me thought, hey, haircutting, that'd be cool. Especially back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Now, lots of people won't know this reference, but do you know the movie Shampoo?
I never saw it, but I think
with Warren Beatty.
Yeah, I mean I know the movie, but I don't think I ever
this
saw it.
This is before Megan.
Yeah.
Where it was, you open the shop, all the gals come in.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, right.
So that was kind of the goal. My buddy and I were going to open this shop, and that never came to be. So.
Oh my God! Wow.
That's how we got into haircutting, and then I gravitated back to business and math.
Wow.
And it's funny, my son is he's already talking to me. He just got his first job, and he's already talking about, well, how do we invest in real estate?
Wow.
Because he watches Grant stuff and he's read his books and Robert Kiyosaki's books and all that kind of stuff. So we're having those conversations. But
wow.
Yeah, so 17 years in the Amway business and met some great people. And I was in a different company at the time when I'd left. I'd left Amway. Well, never really left, just wasn't building it anymore.
Yeah.
Was in a 90-day challenge company, and that's when my dad got sick.
Oh.
And I just stopped everything in my life.
Yeah.
And wasn't building that. Knew I had to, had bounced in a couple of other companies. Sometimes it's the right fit, sometimes it's not. It just depends on who you're working with and what the deal is. And most recently, about 6-7 months ago, I found something that I'm really, really passionate about, and because of my background in hockey and whatnot and the health thing, I've been just knocking it out of the park. I'm not one of the, I'd be the first to tell you, I'm not a 1 or 2% in the network marketing space making 7 figures.
Right.
But what I am is a guy that is making enough money that I roll out when I want.
Yeah.
To spend all the time I want with my kids.
Wow.
And hey, do I want to get to 7 figures, 8 figures? Of course, because then I can help that many more people.
Right.
One of my dreams, one of my motivations has always been, I want to have my kids stand on my shoulders and see further than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Give them opportunities to do whatever it is they want to do.
Right.
My daughter's taking her courses to be a paramedic.
Wow.
She's really passionate about helping people. I said my son just started his first job, got his learners, wants to, get into real estate and.
Wow. That's awesome, dude.
So, network marketing's been really good for me, and it's actually really brought me out of my shell. I mean,
So when you look at, and not just in network marketing, but you look at people as a whole, there's a lot of people out there that want to make it. They want to have the freedom you're talking about, that you already have, and the freedom that comes with the stuff that you're dreaming about even more, right? But they can't seem to get, they get stuck and they don't know how to get unstuck. And you've been there, right? You've been there where you're like, in that morning for a long time, and or whatever, and you end up stuck. What do you think the number one thing is that holds most people back from really making it in life?
Fear of failure. People are afraid to fail.
So they don't even try.
They get into that real sort of comfort zone of,
yeah,
hey, I've been with this company for 27 years. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's probably why I do better in network marketing now than I did while I was working at the music company, because I always went, hey, I wake up and there's $100,000 job there.
Right.
Do I really want to drive across town and go meet that person to find out that they're not interested and, do that kind of thing? So,
right.
I think if you follow people that have more than you, that are more driven, we hear all the time about, having coaches. Well, a coach doesn't have to be somebody that's you're physically picking up the phone with, because of social media now.
Right.
I mean, go and follow people. I didn't know Grant Cardone.
Right.
And, we've had this conversation where I've told him, you became a surrogate father to me for a while when I was hurting bad.
Yeah. I
needed direction, and I just gravitated to his energy and his drive.
Yeah.
And that's what really helped me. So, if people can find that person, online or not, I think it's going to help them. But you also have to be really decisive in what it is you want.
Yeah.
Lots of people talk about, hey, I want to make whatever, $200, $400, $1 million, $10 million a year.
Right.
But what does that really mean?
Right.
It's nice on paper, but what are you going to do with the $10 million?
Right.
How are you going to, define it?
Right. People
don't know.
So for the people though that don't know, they don't know what, how do I word this? They don't know, like that, maybe their shit's all falling apart. Maybe they can't figure out what the next move is, and they're losing everything. I don't know. But what would you say to somebody that's just there, that's cars are getting repoed, evictions, whatever. What are you going to say to that person that's just well, this is just my lot in life?
Yeah, it's tough because it's different for everybody.
Right.
But it really, I think it comes down to, if you could change it, what would it be? What would it look like? Right. I know your life sucks and everything's, going down the drain.
Yeah.
But if you could have an ideal life, even an okay life, what does it look like? Start there.
Right.
Figure out that question first, because that's the step of moving forward. If you don't know, and it really, it depends on who that individual is.
Yeah. But
I really think it comes down to, what do you want out of life?
Right.
I'd be the first to tell you, I don't want to be as busy as Grant. I'm ambitiously lazy. If I can gravitate to, not doing something, I will. But at the end of the day,
I had to threaten you just to get you on the show. I'm just kidding.
Absolutely. What? You want me to get up at 7:00 to be ready for 8? Are you kidding me? Yeah. So it just depends on the individual.
Yeah.
I don't want to work that hard.
Right.
And that's why, I want to help people, and I love the ability to be able to do that through network marketing.
Right.
So.
Well, hey, I mean, and dude, not everybody's going to have Grant Cardone's goals or Tony Robbins' goals, or,
nope.
I mean, you got your own goals, you got your own way of thinking, man. That's what makes you, different from everyone else, And I'm
Absolutely.
The same way. I don't want to be Brett Coffey. I don't want to be Grant Cardone. I want to be Ken Walls and do my thing, right? So I'm with you. I agree with you, dude. So and I think that's piggybacking on what you were talking about is it's about finding that that thing, whatever it is. Hank Norman talks about it. Find the one thing, right? Find out what that is, and then do that. Hey, maybe it's, vacationing so you can sell people on vacationing. I don't know. But whatever it is, find that and do that. Yeah,
you got to pick that first thing. Move towards it.
Yeah.
And as you get closer to it, it might change.
Right.
You might go, hey, I overcame some things at this point. I can do something bigger than what I originally thought.
Right.
So then you go down a different path.
Right.
But it's moving. To me, it's failing forward. If you're not moving, you're dead in the water.
That's right.
Fail forward.
I agree with you, man. So what's up for you next, man? What's going on now? What are you moving towards now? Or what's coming?
Just working our business as little as I can get away with, and helping my kids. I mean, that's always my biggest passion is my family.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
Anything I can do to, help them, guide them. And, we have some great conversations, Megan and I, with some couples and stuff, because I've heard it so many times, like, well, how can you guys be together 24/7?
Right.
Like, don't you drive each other nuts? And we don't. We just, we're so synergetic that we just have a great relationship. It can hang out, and we're going to do a couple things around the house this summer, and a few renos,
and dude, your wife's amazing. I've never met her in person, have I? I don't think I have.
No,
I met you in person, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
We met in person.
We met at the GrowthCon.
Yeah. But I see the pictures, and she's a lovely, lovely woman, beautiful, and you guys just are your pictures are incredible together. You're just so happy.
Yeah, we truly are. We, we just like so many of the same things.
That's awesome, man.
For around our 30th wedding anniversary, we did the let's do the 80s music tour. So all bands that were within 3 or 4 hours of us being able to drive, we went and saw.
Wow.
We made that sort of our anniversary. So we saw, Honeymoon Suite, Journey, all different kinds of bands.
Wow.
And went back and lived our high school all over again, and did things like that. She really wants to go to Greece.
So really?
That's something that I got to work on.
That's a good reason to get up earlier and work harder at your business.
Absolutely. That's what she tells me. What, you're not in your office making miracles happen? Come on.
Right. Yeah. Hey, it all starts with that, dude. Everything starts and ends with sales, right? So,
absolutely.
Well, dude, how can anybody that because this will be out on the TV network as well when I get it up there. So, and I think we have a 4 or 5 million viewership right now. So, people that don't already know you, a lot of people on the Facebook stream obviously know both of us. But for those that don't know you, how can they follow you?
Pretty much every social media handle is Brett J. Coffey. So Brett, Brett, J. Coffey, Coffey, kind of like the drink, but not quite.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, that handle for sure.
Awesome. And if you want to learn more about Brett's business, hit him up and because I know you were telling me that the thing that you're doing now, you lost like 35 pounds like that with it. So that's incredible. So I think I need to lose about 20, I believe, 15, 20 something.
Okay, well we'll do a thing. We'll do a thing, Ken. We'll set a goal. We'll lose 15 more each. I need a running partner. So
yeah.
That'll put me back to my weight when I was playing hockey. That's my goal.
Wow. Nice. Well, dude, I genuinely appreciate you. I love you like a brother. I appreciate you coming on the show. I know it's early out there for you. You had to go to bed early last night. But I do appreciate you coming on, and you know, is there anything that you would like to say to everybody before we end this? Like, you know, any parting words of wisdom to help somebody have a breakthrough?
Yeah, I guess it is. You truly have to pursue your dreams. You have to figure out what they are, and then go after it.
Right.
And ask for help along the way. So many people don't ask for help.
Right.
They just drift.
And invest in it.
Absolutely.
Invest in the help. How many people, I mean, I see so many people that want free, and then they wonder why they're broke all the time. You know, if you invest in something, you're willing to spend money in something to get better, then there's a pretty good chance other people are going to spend money with you to get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No question about that.
Yeah. So,
you know, take the time to find the person that can get you to the next level and go after it.
I agree with you, man. Well, Brett, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being on. Appreciate you getting up early, like I said, and coming on the show. Thank you to everyone who shared this out and liked it and loved it and commented. Leilani Moore, hey, Leilani's on here. And Mike Scott, we've got some great people on. So, Brett, thank you once again. Genuinely appreciate you. And everybody, we will see you on, what is today, Friday? Is today Friday?
Friday. It's Friday.
Jeez, we'll see you Monday. Good Lord. Thank you all for watching the show. I appreciate it. Have a great day. See you later.
Bye, guys.